boys and girls, and welcome to another episode of George and Willy's World. My name is Mrs. Mapes, and I have Willy right down here, and this is Mrs. Kranz. Hello,
Hi.
Mrs. Kranz. How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
It's been a while since we've been here, it seems like, but I thought about you, the boys and girls at home every single day. So tell me, what have you been doing with George? Look at our dogs.
Right.
Look at our dogs. They're both laying down asleep.
Right. Well, maybe George is a little tired because yesterday she went for a hike at Empire Mine, and she enjoyed that very much. There were lots of other dogs she got to meet and lots of people and lots of nice, interesting smells on the trails. So she's probably a little tired out today.
Did she get lots of pets from children at Alta Sierra School this week?
Yes, she was very happy to be back in the second grade classroom, and lots of readers read to her, and she had lots of love, which she really enjoys.
Oh, well, good. Willy came to school with me today, and a fifth grade class invited Willy, and me, of course, to their class so that they had just finished reading a book, and they wanted to ask me some questions about Willy and what it was like to have a dog and how much work it would take. And I gave them as much information as I could, and isn't that amazing that today we're having a show about dogs? And so we have a guest here, and she will be telling us about what she feels about dogs and has some dog stories, and I can't wait to hear. So let's meet her right now. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Hello.
Hi,
This is
Elisse.
Oh, I am so sorry. I had it in my head. Elisse Kareem, and you are a sixth grade student at Seven Hills.
Yeah.
Could you please tell us a little bit about what you enjoy and what you do? When a daily, something that you do every day and something that you enjoy to do every day?
Well, in my class, we're right now during reading. Actually, we're reading the book called Hatchet, and I'm actually really enjoying that. That's a good story.
Yes, it is. I've read that story to my students too, and they like that.
Yeah.
And so, what's your favorite subject in school?
I really like social studies. I like learning about history.
What is your favorite time of history so far?
I like the 1800s, and I think the 1700s is pretty fascinating too.
Boys and girls at home, there are so many interesting things that you may not have even thought about. History, how exciting. When did you get started being interested in history?
Well, last year in fifth grade, we did a lot. We spent a long time doing social studies during the day, and I got really interested in history. So since then, I've enjoyed it.
What's your favorite book? Of all the books that you've enjoyed, what's one of your favorites?
Well, there's a really good book called I Rode a Horse of Milk White Jade, and that's a story that takes place in Mongolia about I think a 13-year-old girl, and she finds a horse, and then but it's kind of old and can't walk so well, and then some soldiers from the empire and stuff come and take it away, and she goes on a quest to find her horse back. It's a really good story.
You've got that to look forward to. The older you get, the more interesting and bigger and exciting books. And you've got a couple books for us you're going to be reading to us today that I think the children are going to find exciting. But before we get there, I was talking to you a few minutes before we started our program, and you were saying you have a younger sister.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about your younger sister, what she was interested in.
Well, my little sister, she really wants a dog.
And what's your little sister's name?
Her name is Lily.
Lily. So what kind of dog do you think she would like, and why is she so interested in a dog?
She wants an Australian Shepherd, and she wants a dog because I think she thinks they're really fun to walk and take care of, and a lot of her friends have a dog, so when she goes over to their house, all the dogs come bouncing up to the door, and she's kind of like, oh, that looks like fun. So that's why she wants a dog.
Does she know how much work a dog is?
Well, my parents have talked to her about it, and we've been visiting the pound a lot, so she can kind of see that it can be like they bark and they they kind of whine and howl sometimes. So it is a lot of work.
It's a lot. Have you found that having a dog is a lot of work?
Yes, yes.
What are some things, being a dog owner, that you find that is important to, if you're going to have a dog, what are some responsibilities as an owner?
Well, I think a very important thing is that dogs need exercise. And so George goes for 2 long walks every day, and we also play with her sometimes with balls and fetching things. But I think people have to realize that you're going to have to, your dog needs exercise, and your dog needs training. So George has gone to school, and she loves going to school, but I think every dog should have training and learn how to get on with other dogs and with all kinds of people. So I think those are probably the most important things.
I totally agree. Willy only goes on 1 long walk a day, usually an hour to 2 hours.
Oh, that's a long walk.
And he gets a lot of every single day, rain, shine, snow, sleet, everything, he gets a walk. And discipline, which is education, his training and classes, and then we give him lots and lots of love. And if those 3 things, if we could mix those 3 things up, that would be what I would say would be most important. But exercise is number 1.
Yeah.
So if a dog doesn't get exercise,
They get into trouble.
they get into
bored.
trouble.
Yeah.
And they get very excitable. And you wonder, why are they jumping up on me? Well, because they haven't had exercise lots of times. So how exciting. You said you have some animals at home. What kind of other animals do you have at home?
Well, we have 2 cats, Izzy and Nigel, and we have 2 pet rats. That was my sister also wanted rats. Their names are Doodle and Gloria.
I hope, boys and girls at home, how many of you have pet rats at home? Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3. I see you all. How many of you have pet cats at home? Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3. I see you. That is so wonderful. Do you have any cats or anything else?
No, when my children were little, we had a pet rat, and we had 3 cats and 3 dogs then. But now we have George, and we have birds.
We have Willy, and that's enough.
Did the rats and the cats leave the rats alone, or?
Well, the first day we had the rats, the cats were kind of like, what is that? Because they've always brought in birds and rodents. But actually, the cats are afraid of the rats. The rats kind of, well, when we put them down and stuff, they kind of chase the cats. And they're kind of like, okay. And so the cats, they don't bother the rats.
Well, we have 2 exciting stories, and both of them are about dogs. So I won't say anything more, and I'll let you get started. Boys and girls, are you ready to listen? Because we're going to get started reading our stories. George and Willy, are you ready to
George
listen?
is lying down by the table.
The Pocket Dog. Mr. Pockets had a very big coat, and in his very big coat he had 2 very big pockets. The 2 very big pockets were just the right size for 2 very small dogs. Their names were Biff and Buff. Every day, winter or summer, Mr. Pockets put on his big coat. Then he put Biff in the right pocket and Buff in the left pocket. "Are you ready?" he'd always ask. Biff and Buff always said, "Ruff, ruff," which meant, "Yes, thank you, Mr. Pockets," and off they went to go shopping. Mr. Pockets and Biff and Buff always took the long, interesting way to the shops. Along the way, people always said, "Hello, Mr. Pockets. What big pockets you have, Mr. Pockets." "Hello, little pocket dogs." Biff and Buff always said, "Ruff, ruff," which meant, "Hello, people." Then, one day, Biff stuck his foot through a small hole in Mr. Pocket's right pocket. In no time at all, the hole grew bigger and bigger and bigger. Biff tried to tell Mr. Pockets about the hole in his pocket. "Ruff, ruff," he said. Mr. Pockets didn't understand, but Biff did. "One day, you will fall out of the pocket," Buff said, "onto the ground. You might get lost." Rough, said Biff. That night, Biff had a bad dream. He dreamed he fell out of the pocket. He dreamed that he looked and looked for Mr. Pockets and Buff, but he couldn't find them anywhere. Biff woke up feeling scared and alone. The next morning, Biff didn't want to ride in Mr. Pocket's pocket. He hid under the bed and in the socks drawer and in Mr. Pocket's hat, but Mr. Pockets always found him. What's the matter with you today, Biff? Asked Mr. Pockets. Biff tried to tell him. Buff tried to tell him. Rough, rough, they warned, but Mr. Pockets didn't know what they were saying. Mr. Pockets put Biff in his right pocket and Buff in his left pocket. Are you ready, he asked. Buff said, rough, rough, but Biff couldn't say anything. Off they went to go shopping. Hold on tight, Biff, said Buff. Biff opened his mouth to say, I'm trying, and out of Mr. Pocket's pocket he fell onto the ground. When Biff looked up, he saw legs, lots and lots of legs, but he couldn't see Mr. Pocket's legs. Rough, said Biff. A lady with a shopping basket stopped. She said, hello, little dog. Are you lost? I'll try to find your home. The lady put Biff in her basket, and off they went. But Biff didn't like being a shopping basket dog. He was a pocket dog, Mr. Pocket's pocket dog. So Biff jumped out of the basket and ran away. A small girl who was pushing a doll carriage said, look, Mom, there's a little lost dog. Let's put him in your carriage, said her mother. We'll try to find his home. So they put Biff in the carriage and off they went. But Biff didn't like being a doll carriage dog. He was a pocket dog, Mr. Pocket's pocket dog. So Biff jumped out of the carriage and ran away. Hello, hello, said a man with a shopping cart. I nearly stepped on you. Come with me and I'll try to find your home. The man put Biff in his shopping cart and off they went. But Biff didn't like being a shopping cart dog. He was a pocket dog, Mr. Pocket's pocket dog. So Biff jumped out of the cart and ran away. Rough, said Biff. Biff felt scared and alone. He shut his eyes, tucked his tail between his legs, and put his head on his paws. Rough, said Biff. Then Biff felt someone pick him up and hold him tight. There you are, said Mr. Pockets. We've been looking everywhere for you. Let's go home. Mr. Pockets tucked Biff into his big coat and took him home. Biff and Buff watched Mr. Pockets get out a needle and thread and sew up the very big hole in the right pocket. You were lost, weren't you, said Buff, and he licked Biff's ear to show he was sorry. Yes, I was lost, said Biff. I wasn't a pocket dog anymore. For a while I was a shopping basket dog, then a doll carriage dog, then a shopping cart dog. But then we found you, said Buff. That's right, said Biff. Now I am a pocket dog again, Mr. Pocket's pocket dog. And he jumped onto Mr. Pocket's lap and wriggled into his shirt against his heart. Rough, rough, said Biff and Buff, which meant, we love you, Mr. Pockets. This time, Mr. Pockets understood.
What a wonderful story. I love that. What a good reader you are. And you have another story?
Yeah.
And its title is?
Move over, Rover.
Would you please start that? So we are going to not read that one right at the moment, but I think what we're going to end up doing is let's talk about what we're going to do for our craft. So,
Rover's back up.
We're going to start doing our craft. So come on over here. We had a couple of little. All right, so come on over. We are going to be making, if we have time at the very end, we might read another story. But right now we're going to make our craft because this might take a little longer. Anna, would you like to come on over?
Sure.
All right. So we're going to be making some Doggy biscuits. We have two kinds of doggy biscuits. We have, I'll let you hold that one, and we have a larger one and a smaller one. They look good. And they don't have any meat in them. And we're going to show you how to make them. Now, if you are interested in finding this recipe, you can go to online at George and Willy at yahoo.com. So let's get started. First thing we're going to need is whole wheat flour. We're going to need peanut butter. We're going to need a little baking powder and some milk. And Willy can have all of those things, and he's allergic to everything, so he can have those. So you're going to mix. I'm going to trade this over here. We're going to mix. We're going to start with, I'm going to put some milk in. Let's see. 2 cups of whole wheat flour and some baking powder. So I'm going to put this right in here. Let's put this in here. We have our measuring cup. You ready? Here we go. I'm going to pour. You hold it over. And we need 2 cups of whole wheat flour. That's 1 close enough. Close enough. 2 cups of whole wheat flour, 1 tablespoon, and this is pretty close to a tablespoon. Boys and girls, before you do anything at home, you always need to make sure that it's okay with your parents and ask for your parents' help. So you want to, that's about 1 tablespoon, just put it in there, and then you use this side to kind of scrape off the extra. So you're down to the, close enough. And we're going to mix that together. Mix it so all that baking soda, because the baking soda makes it rise and get taller in the oven. And then the other thing that we're going to be having in there is 1 cup of peanut butter. Here's our peanut butter. And we're going to put 1 cup. That's about 1 cup. You got that cup going?
There we go.
All right.
Little bit more.
I think so too. Do you cook a lot with your mom or your
Sometimes.
sister? What are some things you've made?
I've made a cake with my friend, cookies. I made dinner a couple times. Even.
Have you? Okay, I'm going to let you scoop that out now.
George is very interested.
Yes, George likes peanut butter. I know that. And I'll let you start mixing that as best you can. And if you need to use, this is another kind of mixer. So, oh, dog biscuits. I love to make some dog biscuits that Willy could eat. Here's a spoon. Use the spoon, huh? I gave her the hard job.
What, George, you want to mix?
Yeah, I think
And I'm going to add a little bit of milk while you're mixing, a little at a time, okay? These are probably good enough. The ingredients are things that we could even eat if we needed to. So I'm going to add a little more. Keep.
Yeah, it's all
Mixing.
healthy things.
It's all healthy things, unless you can't use milk. If you're allergic to milk, you can always use soy milk or any other type of milk that you're used to using. If you can't use whole wheat, I'm sure you could use some other kind of flour that you're not allergic to. And if you're allergic to peanut butter, there's all kinds of other things such as almond butter
Right, that's what I was
or
thinking. Cashew butter.
Cashew butter. So you don't have to use peanut butter.
It's starting to look good.
Yes, it is. I'm going to mix some of this around. Half the fun of cooking is making a mess, right? And when it's all, you're doing a good job. Little did you know you were going to get all messy, huh? So the more we mix, sometimes, here, you got that?
Where?
I'll take that. Might need to just get our hands in there. Sometimes getting our hands in there, we're going to get our hands in there, okay?
Okay.
You just get your hands and start mixing. Oh, doesn't that feel good? There you go. And there's always there's one thing about cooking. There's always water and rags to wash up. Once that's all mixed up, she is doing a great job.
This is fun.
Yes, it is. It smells delicious. It smells as if we could even make it and eat it ourselves. Oops, and that's probably good enough.
Okay.
So we're going to just move that over in
it looks
here.
great.
And you know how to roll this out. We'll add these over here. And one thing when you roll is you always put a little bit of flour, it might stick. So I'm going to put a little bit of flour down here. And I'm going to put a little flour on this. Okay, there you go. And we're going to roll it down as best we can. Have you ever used a rolling pin?
Couple times.
Ah, now she's got, I'm going to swing it around. There you go. Add a little bit more flour. There you go. That looks good. When it's about as thick as you think you'd like it, we have 2 different sizes of cutters here. A large cutter for big dogs. Boy, is Willy looking at what's going on here. And so is George. And now we're going to, that's probably just perfect.
Okay.
I'll let you cut some of those. And Mrs. Krantz, would you mind holding that? And she
Sure.
can transfer them over.
Great. Oh, these are beautiful.
Aren't they gorgeous?
George says, forget about baking them. I could eat them
Yes.
right now. Actually, I like raw cookie dough better than baked cookies.
And boys and girls, while they're cutting that up, and we're just going to give you some of the information. If you would like this
Smells
recipe,
good.
you can go to George and Willy at yahoo.com. You can also go on the NCTV community calendar, and they will have not only information about some of the activities that we have in our community that you might want to find, or our recipes. Please, if you have missed any of our past shows, you're always welcome to go to the Madeline Helling Library or the Grass Valley Library, and they have DVDs there. I just went to the Grass Valley Library last week with my class, and there was a picture of me. I had no idea. And George and Willy. So they are all there ready for you to check them out if you've missed an episode. And don't forget to write us at George and Willy's World at 225 South Auburn Street, 225. Oh, that's 225. That'll be fine. 95945. So she's finishing these up.
Look how nice they come
I
out.
know.
Beautiful.
And with this baking powder, when you put them in the oven, they're going to rise. And you'll put them in the oven for 20 minutes at 375 degrees. And when they come
You're
out,
doing a great job.
they'll be cut just like this. I'm going to break one to see what
So they get
look
nice
like.
and dry.
Yeah, I'm going to break
Oh, I
one.
think maybe you have
they're
some
perfect.
people who'd like a
I have a
sample.
feeling I would. Would you like a sample of this? Willy? Willy, come here. Willy, would
that's
you like,
about
come
it.
here. Come here, Willy. Oh, he says he likes it. And then with this, all you would do is mush it back together again, re-roll it, and get more out. But I think that we've got a pretty good batch right there. So
Yeah,
I'm going to
look
leave those.
wonderful.
Let's put that in here. And then just right in here. Perfect. And we'll put these right on top.
Right. Perfect.
And then you can put them in a container that has a seal-tight lid, and they're there whenever you'd like. Would you like to give one to each of the dogs? I bet you they'll
Sure.
take it.
You should have a big one.
Oh, he said he'll take it.
Right. Thank you.
Wow. Good job.
Thank you.
Yes. Now you know what to feed for snacks. In fact, I think I'm going to be making this recipe for Willy when we go home. So, as our way out, if you were to choose a dog, you were talking a little bit earlier about what kind of dog you might be interested in. What kind of dog?
Well, a German Shepherd. I think those are really sweet dogs. And then a Samoyed.
Samoyed?
Yeah, those look really like beautiful dogs.
Yes.
And then
They're large dogs.
yeah, they are. And then Schnauzers like George. They seem like sweet dogs. And then Golden Retrievers and Labs they always seem like sweet
So
dogs.
just about any dog.
Yeah.
She would like any dog. Well, I am so glad that you came and joined us on George and Willy's World. What a wonderful job of reading. What a wonderful job of making cookies. So now we just have the cleanup. But look, we have two really good friends.
They say we'll clean that up.
Can they have another piece?
Okay, sure.
Okay, there's one for George. And
That
Willy.
can be supper.
Okay, and there's one for Willy. Call Willy and he'll come around.
Willy.
Over here. Come over here.
Willy. Here you go.
So boys and girls, until next time, join us again at George and Willy's World. We're so glad you joined us today. Thank you. Bye-bye. Wave goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.